Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Good evening. I'm Gina Roberts, Voter Education Director for the Citizens Clean Elections Commission. As the state's only nonpartisan voter education agency, Clean Elections is proud to sponsor these debates. Our mission is to ensure that you have the opportunity to hear directly from the candidates, ask questions about the issues that impact your life, and head to the polls with confidence. To make sure your voice is heard, please keep these upcoming deadlines in mind. June 22nd is the voter registration deadline, June 24th, early voting begins, and July 21st is primary election day. A quick reminder, all registered voters, including independents, are eligible to vote in the upcoming primary election. If you're watching this debate live, we want to hear from you. You can submit a question for the candidates at any time using one of the following methods. You can email debates@kc-a.com. You can text 480-769-9511 or phone 480-937-1253. Thank you for joining us and for staying engaged in our democracy. For more resources to help you prepare for the upcoming July 21st primary election, please visit our website at azcleanelections.gov. Enjoy the debate.
Good evening and welcome to the Arizona Citizens Clean Election Debate for Legislative District 7. I'm your moderator, Joe Ferguson, reporter at the Arizona Agenda. I've been a journalist for about 16 years, mostly here in Southern Arizona, covering politics and government. Tonight, you're going to hear from the 4 candidates running for the Republican Party nomination for the State House in LD7. At more than 10,000 square miles, stretching from parts of Flagstaff through Rim Country and the White Mountains and portions of Pinal County, the district is one of the geographically largest in the state. Voters in the district will elect 1 state senator and 2 state representatives in November. Here's how the debate will go. Each candidate will start with 90-second opening statements. Then we'll spend a few minutes getting to know the candidates as people. Then we'll dig into some core issues facing the district. And after that, we'll ask each candidate to explain how they would vote on a real bill from this session. We'll also include a round of rapid-fire questions and then finish with the 90-second closing statements. Okay, let's bring in our candidates. Walt Blackman, David Cook, Andrew Castellano, and Barbie Engel.
It's Costanzo, please.
My apologies, sir.
Not a problem.
So hopefully it's just start from there. So first, I want to thank everybody for being here. We're going to start with a 90-second opening statement from each of you. The order was set by a random draw before the debate. The prompt is very simple. For 90 seconds, tell the voters who you are and why you're running. Andrew, we will start with you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I am Andrew Costanzo. The greatest gift given to me by my parents after life and my Christian faith was moving our family to Arizona when I was a child. I was quickly and permanently hooked on rural Arizona. Throughout my life, I have been and continue to be a successful business owner. However, my proudest work experience is when I was employed by Charlie Kirk, chasing ballots for Turning Point Action and President Donald Trump. My political activism started in 2010 when I became a precinct committeeman. I have had several achievements, including being a county coordinator for a congressional district race. I believe that Arizona's most pressing issues are economic prosperity, which must include tax cuts, fixing our broken education system, which includes maintaining the ESA program, election integrity, which demands that only U.S. citizens with ID may vote, law and order, which requires that all illegal aliens are deported, and ending the Green New Scam that enslaves us to the inefficiencies and high cost of wind and solar. I'm Andrew Costanzo. I am a MAGA Republican running for the Arizona State House in Legislative District 7.
Thank you. Barbie, please tell the voters who you are and why you're running.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me, Joe, and Clean Elections Debate Team. I am glad to be here as a candidate for LD7 House of Representatives. I am Barbie Engel, and I am a liberty-loving Christian conservative. I am an author, a wife, an aunt, and your American First Republican candidate for House of Representatives District 7. I'm here tonight through Clean Elections because I believe that the people, not special interests, should decide who is going to represent us. I am running on faith, family, and freedom. And want this for every LD7 family. I've been working on legislation for the past 17 years as a citizen volunteer. I saw things that needed to get done, they needed to get changed, and that I learned the process and I figured out how to make a difference. I have worked on over 100 bills in 36 states. I have authored and co-authored 7 bills here in Arizona, and 4 of those are now law. We face real challenges securing our border, protecting election integrity with voter ID and paper ballots, delivering reliable energy and water, and giving parents real power over their children's education. I am ready to serve the voters of LD7 because LD7 deserves strong, principled leaders that trust you with your own lives. They trust you with your own dollars and with your children's education. I will proudly represent all 4 counties of our district, Navajo, Gila, Coconino, and Pinell, and the great state of Arizona as one of your next representatives. You can check me out at my website, barbyingle.com, BARBYINGLE. Let's win this together. Thank you.
Thank you. David, please tell the voters who you are and why you're running.
Hi, my name is David Cook, former state legislator, owner of DC Cattle Company in Globe, Arizona. I've been on the ballot for the past 5 election cycles, and the voters in my district, they know me. I'd first like to take my time to say, Walt, my heart continues to go out, Diana and I, to you and your family during this time. I lost both of my parents at different times during the budget time, which is the most stressful. And so I understand the grieving process in which you're not able to do right now. And so I know it'll come later, my friend, and my best goes out to you and Chris. Next, would like to say about what we're doing here in clean elections. When I first ran in 2016, I was the only Republican from Pinal County or rural Arizona that would even engage in a clean elections debate. And I'm just honored and proud to see that here we are in 2026, and I see the 2 other candidates for the open seat in our district. And that's good because like when we go out to campaign and we want to debate like this right here, this is the structure we need. There's an invitation for Walt and I to be at another debate tomorrow night. I sent them this leak and said, watch this. Here's your debate. You can pose questions. That's what these dollars are for, and that's what this access is for, is the candidates, you know. So thank you for what you do, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the evening with you.
Thank you. Walt, you're up next. Well, you're muted. Why don't we try that again? I'll restart the clock and everything.
No. Hello, everybody. I'm Walt Blackman. Clean Elections, thanks for doing it. Candidates, thanks for being here. Dave and everyone, thank you for your kind words going out to my family. It is a difficult time, and we're with God, we're trying to get through it. I'm Walt Blackman. I am a state representative now. I am the chairman of the government committee. I serve on the Commerce Committee, also serve on the Appropriations, where we were finalizing the state budget tonight. I'm also a member of the State and International Committee, which we brought millions of dollars into Arizona, particularly into LD7, creating job, revenue, resources, and also making sure that our forestry, our water, our infrastructure, internet, they are being taken care of. And most importantly, to ensure that Arizona taxpayers are treated fairly during this tax session, and then making sure that our families all together, our kids K through 12, our parents, and just overall have a good legislator that understands the process, can do the job, has produced results, and I'm happy to be here. And let's go ahead and have this great debate.
Thank you so much. We're going to move on to our first round of questions. But first, I'm going to offer a quick reminder. You can submit your questions for the candidates at any time during the debate tonight. You can email us at debates@kc-a.com, text us at 480-769-9511, or give us a call at 480-937-1253. Next, we're going to ask questions about each of the candidates and who they are. We're not going to be asking about policy positions, but who shaped you, how you think, and what you would be like in office. Each candidate will get 90 seconds to answer. We're not going to offer rebuttals this round, but we're going to do that in later parts of the debate. The first question is going to go to David, and it'll be 90 seconds to answer. Describe a time in the last 2 years where you've changed your mind on something political, and tell us what changed it.
Well, I want to say probably the part about Trump's ability to say no more endless wars. When I saw the actions of the Iranian government over there on the national news and the fact that those people murdered 40,000 people in the streets that were trying to fight for the freedom that we enjoy in this country. And when I saw Trump and he said that no endless wars before, I changed my mind along with his, is that this was a time when he told those people help is on the way. He meant it. And so the political pundits and all that attacked him for making that decision. And today I strongly support what Trump is doing to Iran. One of those hostages was from Globe, Miami, my hometown area, with that guy. He paraded him around when Carter was president. When Reagan got elected, they all got on the plane and came home. We've been dealing with those people for 47 years, and finally have a president with the strength and the backbone to do what's right for the American people and people all around the world, but us first.
Thank you so much. Andrew, I've got the same question for you.
Repeat the question, please.
I'd be happy to. Describe a time in the last 2 years where you've changed your mind on something political, and tell us what you changed it.
I don't believe I've changed my mind on anything politically in the last 2 years. I've been MAGA long before MAGA was named. I have always believed in freedom and liberty, smaller government, the smallest government possible. These have been my thoughts for many years. I am proud to say that I've had some wonderful mentors from my childhood to even through now. And I have not changed any of my political ideals or principles.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The same question for you.
Thanks. That's a great question. I got to tell you, I changed my mind over this past year when I saw many of my residents and constituents lining up for food around food banks. And it really gave me a perspective of what's really happening in our communities. Now, I knew that we had these types of issues, and we have the 90,000-foot issues. However, the basic needs to be able to put food on your table, and you have to choose either from putting food on your table or buying prescriptions or putting gas in your vehicle, that right there gave me a different view on fiscal conservatism. And with this past budget that we passed, $4.45 billion in tax relief is going to go to those folks that have a hard time putting food on their table, buying prescriptions, and also owning a home for the first time. So I am really proud of that, and I'll continue to fight for LD7 and the people of Arizona.
Thank you. Andrew, I have the same question.
I think you mean Barbie.
My apologies to everybody. I'm moving ahead. Barbie, my apologies to you. It's your turn.
Thank you. The thing that I have changed my opinion on was term limits, and it was after talking to Cindy Biggs about term limits. And I've always agreed with term limits, but I was thinking that 2 sessions would be plenty. And after talking to Cindy Biggs about term limits, I decided that I think we could actually go for longer term. So instead of 4 to 8 years, I think that we could go somewhere between 16 and 20 years on term limits. But I do believe in term limits, and I don't want lifelong bureaucrats. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next question we're going to move on to is to name a Democratic politician you actually respect, and give us an example of what you specifically respect about them. Walt, we're going to start with you.
I would like to mention General Colin Powell. He was in the middle. He was an independent, and he's a former general of the United States Army, Chief of Staff, and he was also a Secretary of State that used real diplomacy and really worked with people across the country and across the nation or across the world. So I admire the work that he did. Didn't agree with his politics. However, just him as bringing strength to America and keeping us in a way that is peaceful and keeping us moving forward.
Thank you, sir. Barbie, we have the same question for you now.
Thank you so much. The person that I would say on the Democrat side would be John Fetterman. And when he first was in office, I really didn't like a lot of what he was saying or doing. And then he had a major health crisis, and I was worried about what he was wearing when he was down representing the people at the Capitol. And then his policies started coming around. He started opening his mind to hearing about what was going on and why, what Trump was doing and what the Republican and conservative representatives, senators, and congressmen are doing, that he was open to changing his mind. And even though he says he's still a Democrat, saying this isn't right what the Democrats are doing and standing up for what the Republicans are doing because it's the right policy. Thank you.
Thank you. David, we have the same question for you.
Well, I would say in my lifetime, because there wasn't any time period put on that, I'd say my lifetime, I'd say Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was the governor of Arkansas. You know, the Midwest is a red state area, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas. I think they've got a good governor now in Sarah Huckabee. But Bill Clinton, I think if we go back and look at the national debt and what it was during the Clinton administration and the first George Bush and things like that, there were people going crazy about the deficit and the debt at that time the United States was pressuring. Well, look at it, what is today. Well, Bill Clinton was the last true president that had a balanced budget with a Republican Congress. He was able to reach across the aisle and balance the budget for the United States. And I don't believe it's been done since. In fact, it's gone the other way.
Okay, thank you so much. Last but not least, we've got one more person to go, by all means.
That's a difficult question. I reflect to when I was young, and then Democrats and Republicans, we had our differences, but one thing that binded us together was a love for our republic, for the United States of America. And I do not see that anymore from my colleagues on the left. It is almost as though they have a hatred and disdain for what the United States of America stands within its principles and policies of freedom and liberty. However, with that being said, there have been some Democrats that have stood up and have done what is essentially right. And most recently here in Arizona, we had Kristen Sinema, who stood up against the filibuster and ending it. So I give compliments to her. I also give compliments to John Fetterman, who is really being, there's so much vitriol towards him within his own party, but yet he has, on not every occasion, but on many occasions, he is doing what I believe to be right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it so much. We're going to move on to our last quick question about each of you. And so we're going to ask this. David, this is going to go to you first. If you weren't running in this race, what would you be looking for in a candidate to get your vote?
I want somebody that has the ability to get along with people and not be controlled, held by special interests and groups. You know, as ranchers, we think of things and we problem solve. If the fence needs fixed, we can't just think about it or talk about it. We actually have to go fix that fence. And so what I want is a candidate that understands the rural Arizona values, and that means that we're not all the same, and be able to stand up to your own party to say, this may be good for even Pinal County, Maricopa County, and these counties, but it hurts the 13 rural counties that are desperately trying to survive as we're all landlocked out here.
Thank you. Walt, same question.
I would say that's a great question. Someone who understands rural. One size doesn't fit all. And we often see down at the State House, for example, food tax. As a Republican, I don't like taxes. However, in some of our areas, particularly in the northern and southern part in Purnell, Apache Junction, when you take away food tax, that has a ripple effect that takes away dollars from law enforcement, takes away dollars from fire services, so on and so forth. And when you explain that to your fellow Republicans, they believe that you are not a tax hawk, that you want to raise taxes, and that's just not true. So I would want to see a rural legislator that understood that and could stand up to their caucus, as I have every year, to push back on those bad policies that affect rural Arizona.
Thank you very much. Barbie, same question to you.
Thank you. I would be looking for someone with a backbone to do what's right, and whether it's our party or the Democrat Party, not be held by special interests. I am Clean Elections because of an experience I had. Election integrity should be extremely important, and they should be working for that. Stand up for ESAs for our parents and our kiddos, and against DEI and against boys and girls sports, fiscal responsibility, and stand up for all of LD7. You're going to be the representative for all 4 counties. You should be working to make sure that all 4 counties are represented and that you are helping those constituents with all the individual needs of all of our 50 towns and cities across LD7. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrew, we have the same question for you now.
Thank you. I would look for someone who knows that that our constitutions are not government from the people. I want someone who believes in the Bill of Rights, including and especially the Second Amendment. I want someone who is pro-life, someone who understands that in our fiscal world, we do not have to live with a constrained piece of pie, that the pie can be ever expanding and we can additional revenue without it being on the backs of the taxpayer. That if we cut income tax in Arizona, which I am a fan of doing, and remove it, personal income tax, that we can wind up with even more revenue for the state government from business and industry that might move to Arizona because we are now in a much more competitive environment. And I want someone who believes in God and knows that Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior. And I thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. That's going to wrap up our section. I want to take a chance to say thank you to all the candidates for a chance to get to know you. We're going to now turn to the issues. This is the core area of tonight's debate, the issues that voters told us matter most in this district. So here's the format. I'll be asking a question. Each of you will get 90 seconds to respond. After everyone has answered, I will open up a 60-second rebuttal window. You can respond to something one of the other candidates said or add to your own answer. During this time, I may choose to ask a follow-up question of an individual during this section of the debate. So our first question is, if a city in your district votes to block a new ICE detection facility from being built in its city limits and the legislature can't override them, how do you vote? Walt, this question goes to you first.
Can you ask that question again? I'm sorry.
I'd be happy to. A city in your district votes to block a new ICE detention facility from being built inside its limits. The legislature can override them. How do you vote?
Well, I would vote no because I believe in small government. The legislature should not involve themselves in local authority. And we see that all the time. As Republicans, I would hope that some of my colleagues are for smaller government, local government. And if we're not doing that, then it's just like asking the federal government to come in and mandate what we do at a state level. So I would talk with the local leaders, find out what their concerns are. However, at the end of the day, I am not about big government. I'm for small government and local level. That's where those decisions should be made.
Thank you very much. David, same question to you.
Well, thank you for that question. 12 years, Department of Corrections. And LD7 has numerous prison facilities already there. We've gone through this when they wanted to build the juvenile facility in Globe, Miami. But I can't see any mayor or city council in LD7 that would vote against building an ICE facility. We have the Florence prison system over there. We have Iman Complex. We've got, in fact, my brother works for the Immigration and ICE in Florence today and tells me stories. We've got prisons up north. We've got prisons in Safford, just on the other LD7 line over in county. What happens is when you have bad people, you have to have somewhere to put them to keep the public safe. And so you can't have it both ways. You can't say we want to get these people off the street and protect society as a whole and have nowhere to put them in. We have to have places to put them in. And when you look at places like Phoenix and things like that, that's why we now have a Department of Corrections. We went from 150 to 250 beds in Globe, Miami, but we got 21 additional officers' jobs when we increased that population. We got more cooks, we have mechanics, we have all that stuff. Rural communities need jobs, and if that's part of it, I don't see one community, town, city in our district that would vote against that. I would hope they wouldn't, but I'm sure I would vote for it. We would put it there.
Thank you so much. Andrew, I'm going to ask you the same question next.
Thank you. We are a Republican form of government. We are not a democracy. So in a democracy, we see that the mob rules. And often we see, if we look at this case in Avondale, we have a loud crowd that is making certain demands. And if we were to follow the rule of the mob, then we would be indeed a democracy, but we are not. We are a republic, and we follow the rule of law. Thus, as a representative, and the cities being a subdivision of the state government, I would vote in favor of a ICE detention center within LD7. We have to make sure that every single illegal alien is deported from this country. Every illegal alien that remains in this country harms an American, harms Americans, and it even harms the illegal aliens because they then become a subclass of human within our country. So it is also for their benefit that they are removed. So if we need ICE detentions to get that done, then so be it.
Thank you very much.
Done.
Sir.
Thank you.
Barbie, you're the last to respond.
Thank
right
you so
ahead,
much. I believe that when you say city votes to stop the ICE facility, you're talking about, say, a city or town council or
Yes.
board of supervisors. I don't see anybody in LD7, and I've been to all 50 towns and cities. I don't see any of our local representatives voting for something to stop ICE from coming in. We want to make sure that we have law and order and security. LD7 is a border legislative district because of Pinell County being a border county. And I think that we would all 4 districts would be supportive of this. If it came from the people voting on it, that would be another story, but I don't believe that the people would vote for that either. So, and I would be a no vote. I would want the ICE facility to come in and be able to have law and order to deal with the illegal immigrant situation. And I myself came from Thailand and had to swear at 12 years old to be a good American. And I would expect that the laws of our country would be upheld in our state, since the state is supposed to set that precedence for the federal government. Thank you.
Before we get to our rebuttals, and I'll offer that in just a moment, I promise, but I do want to follow up with you, Barbie, and make sure I understood the answer to your question. You're saying that if the voters voted against a ICE detention center somewhere inside the district, that you would vote to override that vote?
No. If the voters voted on it, I would be one of those voters, and I would have voted to have the ICE facility. I would be very sad that they would vote the other way. I don't believe that they would vote the other way. I think that I know the people of LD7, and we would vote to have the ICE facility. And I think whether that would be the city or town officials or the actual voters voting on a proposition, I would say we would be supporting the ICE facility, and we support law and order in LD7.
Sure. Walt, I think you had a follow-up rebuttal. I'm going to give you time
Yeah,
right now.
I want to push back on what my colleague just said. I keep hearing, I know the folks of LD7. If you know the people of LD7, then you would have talked and spoken with the sheriffs and understand that they already know what they want to do. You would have talked with city council, mayors, county board of supervisors because they already know what they want to do. Local control is where it should be. We should not be telling county boards of supervisors, local authorities, how they should run their governments. We already know that they are going to follow along with what's good for their communities. And
Thank you for
so please don't cut me off. We already know what's good for their communities. They know what's good for their communities. And that's why I say, as a Republican and a conservative, I believe in small government, local control. That's what I believe in. That's what Republicans believe in. And that is a conservative principle. All you got to do is look it up in the platform, GOP platform.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Barbie, go ahead.
Thank you for reiterating my answer. I appreciate that. That's exactly what I said. So thank you so much.
No, you didn't
Andrew?
say that. So stop.
Andrew, David,
Stop.
either of you want to jump in?
Well, I'll go first. I worked in the system for 12 years, but we house the Hawaiian inmates in Pinal County, right? And so we have private prisons in Pinal County. One of the largest, county in the state. And then we have Winslow prisons. We have federal prisons in Safford outside. We have Fort Grant state prisons. It's something that it just happens. And it's because I believe that the people say that the jobs are only one thing, but you have to put them somewhere. And you have to be sure that their communities are safe. That's why generally they're out in the rural areas. So if someone, God forbid, was to escape, there's the ability to catch them. And on the flip side is that, it gets them away from that city area that's down there and things like that. And it gets them out maybe for rehabilitation. Who knows what that is? But we have numerous amount of prisons in Arizona, and most of them are in rural Arizona.
Thank you so much. Andrew, we haven't gotten to you yet. Everybody else had a chance. We want to make sure you get a chance for a rebuttal if you want it.
Well, I believe I clarified my position initially.
Thank you so much. We're going to move on to question number 2. Out-of-state and foreign-owned mega farms have pumped groundwater dry in rural Arizona. Would you be voting to cap their pumping, even if it means losing some of the farms that leaves the state? Barbie, I want you to answer the question first, please.
Thank you. I would say no. I would not be capping their water. I think that we have good water. We have seen a lower amount of water in our groundwater, but we also have seen that our contracts that are coming up in the 100-year situation, such as in Kearney, Arizona, that those contracts are needing to be renegotiated, that the water is there. And at the classes that I've attended with our water facilities around the state and around LD7, they say we have enough water. It's the contracts that are in dispute. So I would say no. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrew, I'm going to ask you the same question now.
All right. Well, we don't know how much groundwater we have. The House, and I believe Representative Blackman was involved in this, and I thank him for it. They passed legislation that would scientifically determine how much water we have underneath our feet. And only then would we be able to know if we're pumping too much water or pumping too little water. Unfortunately, Governor Hobbs vetoed this legislation. Thus, we don't know how much groundwater we have. So until we know how much groundwater we truly have, it's impossible to answer that question correctly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, well, no, let me add. Let me add, please. We need to reintroduce this bill in the next session so that we can monitor and determine exactly how much groundwater is in each aquifer. And I intend to help move that bill forward in the next session. Thank you.
Thank you. Walt, you're up next.
Well, I appreciate my colleague pointing that out. I was involved in that. And it's important to know how much water we have first before we move forward. And that's why we introduced that bill. Governor Hobbs, she's not on the same sheet of music. I've worked side by side with Representative Griffin, who is an outstanding legislator, particularly when it comes to water, and talking to ranchers and farmers who have to actually grab that water. We're talking about water going down. You know, if we want to figure out how much water we get, we need to be talking to Maricopa County, telling them to stop growing before they ask for water, because we don't know how much water is down there. So those are the steps that I've taken as a legislator. I've already done it. So I know what we need to do going forward.
Thank you, sir. David, I have the same question for you.
Yeah, I would like for you to repeat the question. I'm kind of confused after I've listened to everybody.
Out-of-state and foreign-owned mega farms have pumped groundwater dry in some rural areas of Arizona. Would you vote to cap their pumping, even if it means some of those farms leave the state?
Hey, first of all, is that state land or is it private property?
Under this, we're going to say it's private property.
Okay, you can say it's under private property, but what you're talking about here are the state land permits for the farming, like that happened up in the northwestern part of the state. What the problem is, the normal farmer that is there, that is growing the same crop, the same land and everything, he pays for his water. What that company was doing from Saudi Arabia was they did the state land lease, they were farming on the land, and they were pumping Arizona water, not paying anything for it. They were getting the water for free. And then there was the big push to go ahead and cancel that permit, what Governor Hobbs did. But what I kept saying is that those huge farms and those pumps on state land, the state land permittee owns 100% of those improvements. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, by canceling that permit from those Saudi Arabian companies and striking a deal for charging them for the water, now the taxpayers of Arizona are on the hook for probably in the tune of, I don't know if it's $26 million or $260 million, because now the state's got to come up with the money to buy those improvements from those people. So that's a double-edged sword. We could talk for an hour on water, but as the person here that went to every DCP meeting, and even the Speaker Bowers would pick me up to make sure I'm there, water is a complex issue, and we can't say things like we have enough, that we have all the water we need, and then turn around like I heard previous people say on this debate, I guess, is that, well, we can cut the state income tax to zero because we're going to grow Arizona and the government's going to have more money and fund itself that way. We have enough people in Arizona. We have housing problems. We have water problems. We need people down at the legislature that will solve these problems before we take one step further, and that's what I promise you I will do down there.
Thank you so much. Is there anybody who would like to respond or add to their answers? Hearing none, we're going to move on. But again, another quick reminder, you can submit a question for the candidates at any time during the debate tonight. Email us at debates@kc-a.com, text us at 480-769-9511, or call us at 480-937-1253. Our third question is this: if elected, how are you going to address long-term flood risks for those living in Globe? And how would you plan to keep taxes manageable and while providing enough consistent revenue for repairs, general upkeep, and government services? David, I'm going to start with you.
Thank you. So all the flooding from Globe, Miami, and in that area started with the telegraph fire. That was the main cause of the fire that the federal government continued to set. It was not out of control. And so what happened was there was a big push. There was a debate between the Forest Service, which was USDA, and then we have the Natural Resource Conservation Service, which is USDA. And the state director, which I know personally, Keisha, calls me up and says, thank you. Now we finally have a determination, because the Forest Service was saying, this is the land that we are in charge of, and we're going to do this, but they nothing But what came down to when the administration came down with the ruling is that it's USDA and the Natural Resource Conservation Service in an effort like that is the one that takes over. So now that's why in Six Shooter Canyon, about $12 million is being done with the work, but we still have to put the other relief that hasn't come through yet, because if not, FEMA, no rural town will ever qualify for FEMA. We went through a fire that destroyed $700,000 worth of damage on my ranch. We went through 2 flooding events, and then we don't qualify for FEMA. Then I ask, is it only for hurricane states, tornadoes that go through large mass cities in the Midwest like Chicago? Because none of us, Apache Junction, whether it's Superior, whether it's Heber, whether it's Show Low, they would never qualify for FEMA the way those rules are written.
Thank you so much. Andrew, I've got the same question for you. Do you want me to repeat it?
I'd be obliged if you'd repeat the question.
Sure. If elected, how are you going to address long-term flood risks for those living in Globe? And how would you plan to keep those taxes manageable while also providing consistent revenue for repairs, general upkeep, and other government services?
Well, that's a lot to unpack, but I'd like to look at even a larger picture, and that is that the federal government and the state government have been neglecting our forests for 70 plus years. And this is mostly due to lawsuits brought on by so-called environmentalists. And we have complete mismanagement. For grazing have been diminished drastically, and the costs have gone up. We could masticate the forest, chew everything up, and clean it up, and create fire breaks. And one of the main reasons why we have flooding is because we mismanage the forest and allow catastrophic forest fires. And there are also desert fires as well. That's also part of our national forest. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get back to taking care of our forests. Timber will drive sales and revenue and jobs. The ranchers say if you don't graze it, you will blaze it. And incidentally, after these fires, the fires destroy all the ranchers. I'm running out of time. But anyway, we need to manage our forests to start with. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Walt, I have the same question for you.
Well, all the answers are great answers. And we already know what the issues are. I'm going to tell you what I've already done. I've introduced a bill called the Gila County Flood Relief. And that bill brought real relief and real revenues ongoing to mitigate some of the issues that we're talking about now. I also want to let you know that the Flood Mitigation Relief Fund that we wrote is in the line item, $6 million that is going to go to Miami. It's going to go to the Globe area so they can qualify for those federal grants. I've also written for all the districts in all the counties a fire contingency plan, which also allocates X amount of dollars to be able to mitigate some of these fires that we are seeing across the board. So I appreciate the dialogue. However, I want the voters to know that I've already done this. I've already did it, and it's in this year's budget, and it's been negotiated. And when this budget passed, we'll see it on the line item with the governor signing it.
Thank you, sir. Barbie, you're last to answer this question.
Thank you so much. For the flooding, there's a few things. One, we need to make sure that we're doing the right preparations so that when an accident does happen or a flood comes through, that we're ready and prepared to respond in a timely manner, especially with FEMA not coming in and assisting and helping out. I know with the flood in Globe recently that it also hit part of Pinal County as well in Queen Valley, and 10 homes were taken out during that flood. And Gila and Globe came together as a community and brought a lot of help and resources to Globe. And people didn't even hear for sometimes weeks, or some people didn't hear for a couple months, that there was 10 homes that were just totally wiped out in Pinal County as well. we need to be better at prepping. We need to also look at the new FEMA maps. The FEMA in November of 2025 just put out new maps that are in place for flooding. If we know ahead of time that this is a projected flood area now for FEMA, things change with our topography. So we need to make sure that we're paying attention to the data, the experts, and seeing what is happening so that we are prepped and ready if there is a mistake or there is an accident with the flooding. We need to keep the washes up. We need to also use technology. LiDAR is a great way to check what's going on and in all of the different areas of LD7 and figure out where the compromised areas are so that we can be prepped, ready, and prepared so that when we come in with the resources afterwards, when we know FEMA's and the federal government's not going to come in and help, that we are actually ready to do that as a community as well as
cut you
the
up there.
state legislature.
We're running out of time. My
Thank you.
apologies. So we're going to move on to the next section. We're a little bit running over. I hope no one has plans at 7 o'clock on the dot. I'm going to ask you to explain your vote. We're going to give everybody about 1 minute per candidate, and there will be no rebuttals. Before tonight's debate, each candidate received 3 actual bills from this legislative session. I've picked HB 2580, ESA oversight, for all of them to discuss tonight. Here's how this works. I will read a short summary of the bill. Each of you will have 1 minute to tell the voters 2 things: how you would have voted and why. No rebuttals will be allowed this round. HB 2580, ESA oversight. In short, it would expand Arizona Department of Education and State Board of Education rulemaking authority to adopt safety, transparency, and financial oversight rules for ESA participation and conditions and ESA spending on compliance with those requirements. Here's the questions. If you had been in the legislature when this came up, how would you have voted and why? Walt, I'll ask you first.
Thanks. That's a great question. And actually, the bill didn't get a hearing. It didn't get a hearing out of Republican caucus is because it's growing government. It's also, when we're talking about extending putting those guardrails on the ESAs, as you said, that's going to create more dollars that we have to spend just to build those systems. In that, I would vote no on that, and I already know that the education chair would take a different look at that, vote no on that. The approach chair, if it went through the approach, where are we going to get the money to do that? That's growing government. I don't believe in growing government as a Republican, as a conservative, and I also believe that parents have a right to have their children be taught in the way they want to be taught. Parent choice is important. ESAs have gathered more children into our schools with good success rates, and I think we need to continue to do that. So I would vote no on that because of the growing government, the cost to it, and there's no fiscal note to it. And that's irresponsible governance right there. So
thank you.
I'd vote no.
David, I'm going to ask you next the same question.
Well, I believe that the answer to your question is no. I'd vote no on it because it would need some work. And what I read is, does this have to do with the micro schools?
I can't answer that.
Yeah.
Can only ask
So when you actually read the bill language, right? When you actually read the bill language, there are some good things, and it has to do with some fingerprinting and things like that. But here's the bottom line. Legislation typically is not perfect. But in LD7, ESAs, which began with charter schools and all that, and I voted for ESAs because I believe it. I've seen it work in communities down there in the big city. I see the need for it. But just now is rural Arizona really getting into some charter schools and some ESAs and home parenting, thing like that. We're behind that move because 6 years ago, it just was not our issue. There wasn't these types of things. You know, we had things like the tax deductions, $500 that you paid to the church as your kids went to Holy Angels, you know, and was taught by the nuns at Catholic Church. But then it's all evolved into ESAs. from charter schools, by the way. But there are some things that have to be done. When I watch the news and say about what Tom Horn is faced with about what is being paid, and oh, there's 20% of fraud, and no, there's not. There's 2% of fraud. A bipartisan group needs to get together and really investigate and come and tell us.
Thank you, sir. Andrew, same question to you.
I would have voted no. I would not have put the fox in charge of the hen house. The failing government school system now is statewide produces only 40% of the children who are proficient in the English language arts, less than 40% in science, and only in mathematics, and only 29% of the children in the failing government school system are proficient in science. There is no way that I would put the failing school system in charge of monitoring the ESA program. We must maintain these programs as independent so that children may have the best learning environment that suits them well. We must continue with private schools, micro schools, faith-based schools, even online schools. No, I would have voted against.
Thank you so much. Barbie, you're our last speaker for this.
Thank you. I would have also voted no on this bill 2580. Arizonans love our empowerment scholarship accounts. They finally put parents into power in the driver's seat of their child's education. I am pro ESA. I am pro parent choice. HB 2080 actually expands options by defining micro schools and tutors. But when I took a closer look, it piles on new government mandates. And I don't like mandates. Most Republicans do not like mandates, fingerprinting, background checks, age 18 minimums, fire codes, pole fencing rules, weapon storage, anti-family restrictions, and more state rules on who you can hire. These aren't minor tweaks. They are red tape that will price out small, flexible micro schools and tutors that so many ESA families rely on. Our parents should decide what is safe and best for their kids. We already have child abuse reporting laws and background check options. And this bill is just more control disguised as safety. If we truly believe that parents should have the choice, we should reject these heavy-handed regulations and keep Arizona ESAs and keep them the freest, most parent-driven program in the country. I would vote no on HB 2580. Thank you.
Thank you. We are gonna move on to our rapid fire question. I'm gonna limit the questions to 2 tonight since we're coming up pretty close to 7. So first question is only for 15 seconds. It's a yes or no or a A or B answer. So just want to get through it real quickly. We only have a limited amount of time. So first question is for Barbie. Who was better for Arizona, Carrie Lake or Karen Taylor Robinson?
I believe that Carrie Lake would have been better. And I believe that she was cheated out of her election.
Thank
Both
you.
of them.
Andrew, we're going to ask you the same question.
Yeah, I'm all for Carrie Lake. I liked her policies and her principles.
Thank you. David, same question. David, you still with us?
Yeah, Karen Taylor Robinson would have been better for Arizona. I visited with Carrie Lake, and she didn't. It is what it is.
Thank you. Walt, you're last on this question.
Carrie Lake.
Thank you very much. Okay, our second question is name a road, a bridge, or intersection in your district that's been broken for too long. Andrew, we're going to start with you.
The intersection of 260 and 87.
Thank you. Barbie, same question.
I would say the 24 and the 88.
Thank you. Walt, same question.
Say Wolford Road, and that's in Sholo, and it's not a road, but it's a trail down in Apache Junction that needs considerable work on it, and that needs to get fixed.
Thank you.
Arizona Trail, yeah.
Okay. And David, you're last on this question.
It'd be Russell Gulch. It was over one of the floods, and then we funded $2 million to the county to fix it, but they still haven't got it fixed. They're tied up with the Forest Service and things like that, and that's where the county landfill and stuff is located in Globe, Miami. It's been 4 years, $2 million. It's been too long.
Thank you so very much. Okay, we're going to move on to closing statements. Everybody's going to get 90 seconds, and we'll start in the same order as the openings. Walt, you opened, so you'll be closing first.
So first of all, again, thank you, Clean Elections, for running this. I want to say that I've been doing this job and I've been actually producing and giving back to our communities and putting our communities first. With this new tax relief fund that we have, it's a 4-year tax conformity. It aligns with the Trump tax package. I was embedded in that process. We're talking about no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. We're also talking about a $1.5 billion income tax. We're also working with veterans, and they have no cap on their income for property tax. That's going to attract more veterans. That's also going to attract and encourage revenue growth. The reforms that we have in here, the $42 million of savings, that's a Republican structured, balanced piece of legislation that I had direct hands in working with. 2.5 reductions in agency operating costs, which also brought us down to a negative of 1,000 FTE jobs that weren't funded, but they had those jobs there. They had no personnel, but they were funding those jobs that created $550,000. So I've already done the job working for all counties, making sure that our counties are safe, that they're funded, that there's job growth, that we have an opportunity to be able to flourish. And with that, I appreciate your vote, and I appreciate your willingness to have faith in me.
Thank you so very much. David, we're going to ask you to go next.
Well, what I'd say is that being down there 8 years, and it's a little bit like my friend Walt just said, is that when I got down there, the counties were pushed over for the burden for their prison charges and things like that. It took us years to get that back. It took us years to stop the $19 million HERF suites. And every speaker has used me, whether it was DCP, whether it was the gaming bill, whether it was the 2.5 flat tax cut, and also when you think about the Maricopa County road tax, the Senate couldn't even get that out of the committee over there when I was chairman of 2 full standing committees. And I've never seen another Republican there that the speaker ever made chairman of 2 full standing committees, and that's because I'm the workhorse, not the show horse. My name is David Cook. I'm running for office because I was asked to, and I'd appreciate your vote.
Thank you, sir. Barbie, we're going to ask you to go next.
Thank you for your time tonight. LD7 voters, the choice is clear. We need leaders that put faith, family, and freedom first. We need leaders who trust in parents with their children's education, want to secure our state's borders, protect our elections, secure our Second Amendment rights, and deliver renewable energy that is reliable, not wind and solar. We need fusion and fission, and I will be working on that. We need water without getting in the way of our freedoms and liberties. I've proven that I can deliver results, and I'm a lifetime Republican. For the past 17 years as a concerned citizen volunteer, I've worked on over 100 bills, authored and co-authored 7, and have 4 already into law. I am not a politician. I am a statesman. I am also a constitutional scholar, a wife, an aunt, a small business owner, a best-selling author, an American first fighter, ready to serve as our state representative for all of the counties of LD7. Early voting starts on June 24th, and in-person voting is on July 21st. I am asking for your vote and your support. And please tell your neighbors, Barbie Engel will put Arizonans first. I will make sure that the bills that I bring forward are constitutional, moral, and are helpful to the people of LD7. Vote for Barbie Engel. Visit barbieengel.com. Follow me on social media. Reach out to me at 480-760-1197. And email me at barbie@barbieengel.com. I am here to hear what you need and help bring those things forward in a fiscally responsible way. Thank
very
you.
much.
God bless you, and God bless the great state of Arizona.
Thank you. Andrew, you're going to close out our debate tonight. Please go right ahead.
Thank you. I am Andrew Costanzo. God, family, country, and guns is my creed. I am endorsed by Representatives David Marshall and Walt Blackman, along with Tea Party Arizona, the Arizona Freedom Caucus, the Arizona Freedom PAC, and the Arizona Liberty Caucus. Our Arizona Constitution states all political power is inherent in the people, and governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed and are established to protect and maintain individual rights. I am committed to smaller government with less taxation, along with enlarged freedom and liberty for we the people. Like you, my fellow patriots, I am the legacy of the original American radicals, our founding fathers, who created this wonderful experiment that we call self-governance. I would be obliged if you were to investigate me to determine if I am worthy of your vote. Please visit voteandrewaz.com, voteandrewaz.com, to learn more about my policies and principles of freedom and liberty. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you. That concludes
Thank you.
tonight's GOP primary for Legislative District. To our candidates, we thank you so much for participating. To the voters, we thank you all for took the time to watch the debate and inform yourselves before the July 21st primary election. We encourage you to visit azcleanelections.gov for official, accurate voting information. Thanks and good night.